It is a discipline whose popularity has exploded throughout youth culture and given new meaning to city landscapes. It is about living in a city where you don't have to rely on crowded pavements or gridlock roads, and not even buildings can stop you. Freerunning and parkour have given youth cultures a whole new way of creating spaces of their own, in the streets and towns and cities where they are otherwise out of place. Many of the people who do freerunning are people from the fringes of society. You get some people who are quite different, a little weird. Even a lot of the places we use are places on the fringes of the city landscape. Scaffolding, discarded railways, empty office buildings. But when we do it, we're a community. Tom Taylor, founder of Bristol Parkour. Freerunning originated in the French town Nice, developed by Sébastien Foucault and a group of close friends, created a whole new philosophy based on the ideas of parkour created by David Bell. Freerunners are called traqueurs in France, as they leave traces through their movements and actions which influence how we experience the spaces around us. Sébastien described Nice as a town with little for youth to do, and like in many towns and cities, young people in Nice felt there were few places for them to express their individuality. So the young people there began to experiment with ways of using what was already there. After starring in major ad campaigns for mega brands such as Nike and Toyota, interest in the sport has gone global, creating an entire new youth culture which enables youths to challenge and subvert the borders of the streets. Our lives' connections and activities are all governed by socially constructed borders. Traditionally, borders are thought of as clear lines of demarcation, separating different territories and political authorities, i.e. national borders. However, in practice, territories and borders are neither fixed nor one-dimensional, and always subject to change. They are continuously remade on the basis of political, economic and cultural practices. The influence of these political, economic, cultural, religious, legal and other functional processes, which shape the character of specific spaces, borders and territories, means that the borders are multidimensional and polycontextual. Sibley argued that ordering and bordering of places creates either an open or a closed space. Strongly classified places with strongly defined boundaries, for example a private golf club, create closed spaces which keep out those who are out of place. Our own senses of place are created within and across these borders, and sometimes fit comfortably within them. At other times, we have to create new places in order to be ourselves. For many young people, adolescence is a time when borders are tested and challenged, and youth cultures traditionally have little sense of place within the mainstream. Since the early 20th century, the period of adolescence has been viewed as an extension of childhood, a time of maturation into adulthood. And the in-between nature of adolescence is reflected in youth's position in society. Youth face a mistrusting nature from adults, and often find themselves in a liminal position in society. As a result, youth take their place on the margins, redefining themselves in ways that give us new insights into the cultural geographies around us. It is unsurprising that youth feel the need to take a space of their own. Adolescence is a time when youth begin to feel the need for more independence, and not under constant supervision, yet they are not yet adults and are unable to participate in adult activities, such as drinking, voting and driving. Young people have been commonly viewed as trouble, and their in-between nature in society has consequences for the places they can take and make. Anxiety about the unruly and undisciplinary nature of youth has been repeatedly mobilised in definitions of youth cultures for over 150 years. The standard response to groups of young people in public or communal areas is to try and force them out, either by moving them on through the use of police or security guards, threatening them with penalties, such as the recently introduced £50 fine for skateboarding in College Green in Bristol, or removing opportunities for them to gather. For example, the Pavilion Shopping Centre of Birmingham, which removed all their seating to discourage gathering of youth groups. Many youth practices can be seen as a threat to mainstream society. Many adults and authorities have yet to appreciate the ideas of parkour and freerunning. Leeds, the birthtown of freerunning, is reluctant to take its place in history.
Regarding this new discipline in our town, right at the beginning of my office as mayor, I was, I must say, quite surprised and worried because everyone could see young people up and down the walls like cats. I can't prevent young people from doing that. They're responsible for themselves. We can explain the risks to them, make available the equipment that they need, and if they feel like jumping, they can jump in total safety, on mattresses, and not on schools during lessons and retirement homes, frightening elderly people.
The liminal position of youth in society may mean that there is no place made for them yet it does not mean that they have no place at all. Anderson, 2010. The oppressive nature of this liminality gives way to opportunity to resist. It offers the potential for something different, something new and unrecognisable, a new era of negotiation and meaning and representation. Babha, 1990. A number of geographical studies, such as those by Katz, 1991, and Breitband, 1995, have drawn attention to young people's ability to subvert and resist the production of public space in late capitalism. They highlighted youth's sense of disconnection from the city, their lack of access to public space, and their attempts to resist adult-oriented urban space through neighbourhood environmental activism and public art. One central way in which cultures of resistance define themselves against the culture of the majority is through the construction of their own zones, their own spaces. These can be distinguished in part through the subcultural elements of music, style, drugs, but space itself is vital. McKay, 1996. For this reason, youths have to take and make their own places. As weakly classified place, the streets, described by Matthew et al. As a metaphor for all public outdoor places where children are found, such as roads, cul-de-sacs, alleyways, walkways, shopping areas, car parks, vacant plots and derelict sites. To young people, the street constitutes an important cultural setting, a lived space where they can affirm their own identity and celebrate their feelings of belonging. In essence, these places are won out from the fabric of adult society, but are always in constant threat of being reclaimed. Their placement and intended use is governed by authorities, but as a public space, the use of them is conflicted. Many of the areas described by Matthew et al. Are places on the margins of mainstream culture, so are relatively easy spaces for youths to take and make into a place of theirs.